What's going on, guys? It's your boy JT, and this is the Real Hot Take LA. And I'm going to give you guys my hot take on the movie Crime 101, starring Chris Hemsworth, Halle Berry, and Mark Ruffalo. So let's talk about it. This movie is basically a slow burn suspense heist movie in terms of genre. However, there were some good things about it and there were some bad things about it. So I want to start with the good things first, right? So I feel like the performances from the actors were very strong. I feel like Chris Hemsworth was able to show a side of himself that we don't honestly get to see too much. He wasn't the action hero that we know him to be. He was more, pulled back in his character. He was more vulnerable, a little bit emotional in some instances. And I did like that he was showing his acting range, his chops. He's kind of getting out of that Thor character, you know what I'm saying? That goofy, fun-loving, action character that he usually plays in a lot of his films. This one did showcase a different side of him, so I did appreciate that. Halle Berry is a solid actress. She's always going to give you a solid performance, whether the movie is good or bad. She's always going to show up and she's always going to give you something. And I think that she did a good job here. Nothing less than what I've seen from her in the past. She's a veteran actress at this point, and she did what she needs to do. Mark Ruffalo. Now, this is interesting because I've never really been huge on Mark Ruffalo, but I do feel like this is one of his better showings as an actor that I enjoyed outside of the things that I have seen him in. Some of his previous movies, obviously, he's in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as Hulk. But I do like his performance in this movie because we get to see characters in uncomfortable states. This goes for Chris Hemsworth. This goes for Halle Berry's character. This goes for Mark Ruffalo's character. Now, performances aside, let's talk about the cinematography. It was very well shot. The tone of the movie was darker, serious. It had like this kind of tint to it. It wasn't too gritty, but it was more like dim with the lighting and with how some of the brightness and contrast and some of the saturation was. So instantly going into this, I knew this was going to be a more serious movie. Now, the story is where this movie has its fall off. The story revolves around these three characters previously aforementioned and how they all intertwine in the end of the movie. We get to kind of get invested slightly in their stories and what they're going through and their personal struggles, even though they all have different walks of life. And we get to kind of see different perspectives of what ultimately becomes the narrative for this film. I feel like while it was a good idea and while certain parts of it was executed well, there was something lacking with the storytelling here. I feel like there were moments that could have and should have been more impactful. I feel like the climax didn't hit as hard necessarily maybe as they wanted it to. And I feel like it was lacking some intensity with story points and plot points that were trying to be driven with the narrative. I do feel like this was a different kind of movie. It wasn't a normal heist movie. However, with heist movies, you have to keep the audience's attention. And I feel like this is a movie that I probably won't revisit a second time. It was a good one-time watch. I got what they were trying to do, but it didn't entice me. It didn't keep me on the edge of my seat. It didn't have me feeling suspense to the point to where I felt like any character could be in a dire situation. I felt like it was still kind of playing it safe and it didn't really hit home the way I wanted it to. I feel a few changes could have made this movie a great movie, but however, it was okay. I would even say it was good, but it wasn't amazing. It didn't blow me away. It wasn't something that I want to go back and watch 2-3 times. It's not something that I would like to buy on DVD or watch again when it comes out. And we're kind of running into that problem with film these days. You're kind of only getting one-time watch out of these films, and they're not really doing enough and showing you enough that is going to keep you wanting to see it over and over and over again. But ultimately, that's my opinion. I always encourage you guys to go check out stuff for yourself. You might like it, you might love it, you might hate it. But this is my hot take, the real hot take. And as always, we're going to catch y'all on the next one. Y'all stay up, and we're going to see y'all later. Peace.